Hello, hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. So, I'm just gonna kind of like piggyback on what we were doing yesterday. We got most of Santa Muerta done. So, today we're gonna do the Hidden Realm. And so, I'm just going to shuffle these really quick and then split them. And we will start with that. I hope everyone is doing really well today. Happy new moon. Ooh, Ten of Swords. The Hidden Realm. Ten of Swords. Okay. Let's see what we get. Whoa. Oh my gracious, y'all. Sorry. That is pretty symbolic of the, see the rose bushes? Beautiful. Of this energy though. Oh my God. Okay. Whoa. What is happening? Okay. Sorry, y'all. Fuck. Oh, let me scooch. Lock. Adjust. Whew. Okay. It's fine. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Hidden Realm, Hidden Realm. Ten of Swords. The Judge. The Crone. The One. The Ring and the Siren. Oh, it's just like soup's crooked. It's fine. Well, I mean, the Judgment, that's definitely here. It's definitely, like this need to bring an end to things, a need to, like, I just feel like cut off the delusions. Well, because I think that, and in sales and in terms of just like rhetoric in general, that like it's an aggressive energy, right? It's an energy, and if you're good at it, you know how to create the need to sell the product, right? And I just kind of feel like there's been this like energy of creating a need that has been brought to light and called into judgment. And I feel like ultimately the ruling is just that no, no. I don't need you. I've never needed you. I will never want to need you. Like that is such a horrifying thought to me. And I think that that's the energy that's being left behind, right? This idea for need, this idea for codependency, this idea that if you create something that it will like become yours, or if you create a story around something that you'll take ownership of it. Like it's very, it's very colonized. It's very colonized in its approach, because storytelling, in terms of like the ancient storytelling, the practice, the art of storytelling, is meant to engage, resonate, empower, not dominate and manipulate and control, right? And that is what has happened to story through the centuries. And the worst of it is that the people who utilize it are like the most horrifying people who get away with the most obscene things. You know what I mean? And they will do one thing and then go say a whole bunch of other things, and then just create such chaos and confusion in the world. because their stories aren't intended to empower. Their stories are intended to control. And I think once you know that, again, it's just that idea of like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. And, I just kind of feel like there's this idea of knowing what you're committed to, like knowing what you need from the lessons that you've learned, because the crone is the idea of like the mother, the maiden, the crone. You engage in your curiosity, like solidify your understanding, and then you know what is necessary and what is not. And I feel like this journey of this judgment has very much been this, like, I know what is necessary and what is not. I know what I'm committed to. I know what I'm called to. Okay. Justice. Love that. Oh, gracious. Hold on now. I got things happening here. Okay. Well, the Nine of Swords, the Eight of Cups. This is just the idea of feeling afraid, feeling trepidatious, feeling like you're missing out, feeling like all of these emotions. But what is that the result of? Ultimately, a story that's been created around us that doesn't resonate with us, that we feel like it is pushing us in directions that we don't want to go in, and I just kind of feel like there's a judgment again about this, that brings justice because it opens the door for new opportunities. It opens the door for, I could just feel like a reciprocal energy, the development of a story that isn't so riddled with such a negative underlying context that like it prevented you from really creating like what, again, I just feel like you're called to create. The Three of Wands, in this deck, it is kind of just like that idea of like raising a family, and obviously that can resonate however it resonates for you. Like if you're getting into a relationship, you've got the Ring and the One, which is also a high level commitment relationship. So take what resonates for you, how it resonates, because it can resonate differently for everyone. But I do feel like there is this sense of like you haven't been able to create the healthy relationships. You haven't been able to, like create the like the storylines, the format that you've wanted to create, because you've just been dealing with all of these outside circumstances that have left you feeling very on the defensive, very, just like pushed out of your space. And I feel like that's no longer the case because you're no longer allowing those energies to coexist with you. Yeah, well, because what is like what is this when you think about coexistence? If you think about when you work with a group of people, do you feel like you are working together, or do you feel like you are constantly fighting the people that you're working with? Because again, working with in a profession, working with, like on a passion project, working with in terms of, actual work, your family, your friends, however, like your lovers, however that plays out for you. There's just been this feeling of it not working. And I think that an uncovering of why it's not working, what about it's not working, so that when the time came for you to speak on it, you were able to just very quickly articulate, very quickly deal with the issue, very quickly leave it behind, very quickly close it out, so that you can engage in your new beginnings. And I love there was this reel this morning. It's funny because it was a hedgehog. but it was somebody who was like driving down the road, and they saw this crow poking the hedgehog because the hedgehog kept curling up, and it was like, you're not across the street yet, you're not across the street yet. And I feel like there is this sense of like of a beginning that just kind of is pecking you across the street, to get you to where you need to be. But again, it's the idea of a small beginning, and don't disregard a small beginning, because sometimes the most beautiful things come from the smallest of beginnings, right? We know this. But I mean, definitely standing in your power. Well, it is. Well, it's funny. We were watching these videos the other day, and they're like vortex videos, like the idea of like going to the vortexes, because I don't live in Sedona, but I live in the Sedona area, and it's a mecca. It's a mecca for the woo. You know what I mean? And so there are a lot of different energies. There are a lot of different personalities. There are a lot of different types. Some of them are really positive. Some of them are like atrocious. I think a lot of that again has to do with the energy of the vortexes, right? It's just a very, very powerful energy. And I feel like there has been like this battle against like a powerful energy. But I say that like a powerful energy, because what does it mean to be a powerful energy? Well, if you're talking in terms of the vortex, it pulls things out of you. It expedites anything that you're going through, anything that you're dealing with. Stick yourself in some vortex energy, and it's going to amplify it. It's going to magnify it. It's going to speed up whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever energy that you're working with, you know. But are you able to utilize that energy? Absolutely. You definitely can, because if you come at it with a pure intention, then your pure intentions are amplified. I feel like there has been this judgment of the story of the vortex. I don't know. Well, this girl in the video, she was like, I don't actually really know what I'm doing. I don't actually really know anything about these. She's like, I got some papers and a guide. And like she shares like the experience that she has with this guide. And again, it's not even like it's an experience that she has. It's something that she does in an attempt to understand something a little bit better. It's not anything that she truly comprehends or embodies. You know what I mean? And I just kind of feel like this is the story coming from people who don't really comprehend or embody it, or is it coming from people who are it? You know what I mean? You know, anybody who's ever been around, like homeless communities, transient communities, there's just a general understanding in terms of mental health, like the adjustment period that people experience. Like if you've been houseless and then you have like a home around you, there's like an emotional mental process that you have to go through in order to feel comfortable in that security, because you felt so insecure, so unsecured, so out of control of like the situations of life, of society, of all of these things. You have to readjust yourself. You have to reacclimate yourself to society, if you will. I feel like there is a sense of reacclimation here, and an understanding that like sometimes that's not a pretty thing. I remember when I was taking care of this dude, his jaw got, these townies caught him in the alleyway and kicked his face in and broke his jaw. He he had been in the streets for like 13 years, hopping trains, doing all of that. He couldn't sleep, night terrors, like he couldn't eat because to eat is to expand your stomach. And when you've worked so hard to shrink your stomach to not have to eat, to make it easier to survive, the last thing you want to do is eat because you don't want to expand your stomach. Because if you expand your stomach and something happens, you're going to be hungry even more than you already are. I mean, like that level of depravity, like that level of survival. And when you take that level of survival and you translate that into like the acclimation of energies, the acclimation of security, it is a violent and volatile process, for all parties involved. It's why most people don't fuck with social work. It drains you mentally and emotionally and spiritually. It's why, like we have to monitor how much trauma we take in, because it starts to become nothing shy of trauma porn, and then the burden that we carry from that. We have to have that balance of awareness, that balance of acclimation, that balance of understanding, and that balance of knowing that there's oppression that continues to occur. And therefore, we cannot blind ourselves to what's going on any more than we can blind ourselves to the process of acclimation. And I feel like that's what's happening. And I feel like because it's happening, and I think because it's happening from a place of judgment, with the intention of bringing justice, that's what you call in. You call in the people who aren't the people who create the false narratives, the people who bring judgment without understanding, the people who seek to push you through any means possible. I just feel like those are the people that are leaving our energy. We are opening and holding space for the ones who understand like the depth and the intensity of reacclimating a mentality into one of security. I love that. I love that so very much. I want to stop there. I think I'm just going to do these with the cards for that read. So since this one was the hidden realm, sorry. This one was the hidden realm. We'll just do this one as the hidden realm. But I think that there is justice that is occurring. There is community that is being brought to life. There is commitment. There is understanding, and there is creation. And I love everything about that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Thank you for sharing this energy with me. If this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.